find yourself sleeping with more, and has it changed?
So this is the thing, and this is just about social emotional intelligence, how we're socialized. So for me to deal with a male body person, you can't be misogynistic. The way you approach me is not going to be, I'm fucking you, I'm dominating you. It has to be the same way I would approach a woman. I'm going to be gentle. So I find myself dealing with women more because dudes are not always able to be themselves. I don't deal with down low dudes. Like you're not about to make me, right. We're not doing that. So a lot of dudes are in that space and they be like, nah, like what the fuck we doing? You're not going to take me somewhere and make me feel away. Everybody that knows me knows I'm off the chain. So if we're out, you going to think they just think we just friends?
Literally a chain on your neck.
Literally, there's a chain
so
on your neck.
I'm like, I just don't like that type of energy. So I end up dealing with women more. But I'm open. It's just about the human showing up as a human.
Now, for the black men listening that are, again, maybe, I'd hate to use the word confused, but in terms of sexuality or where they fall on the Kinsey scale, a lot of people feel as though women don't allow men often to come as themselves. And you say you enjoy black women. So I do, just before we get out of here, have to get into this conversation with you being this person from a child and knowing that you just come as you. What has your experience been with black women regarding your sexuality? And do they make you feel safe?
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
These are really good questions. And so not trying to make black women a monolith.
Of course.
But yes, I find that it is difficult, not for me to say who I am, but let's say one of us, we were trying to date. You have to be able to tell your friends, I'm dating a naked trumpeter. And they're going to look at my social media and be like, this is who you with?
They're going to be like, hold on, what kind of Trump?
So there are different things that goes into it. So if you're not secure as a woman to say, I do like them, that's an issue. But there are women that's like, that's gay. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, what does that mean? So you care more about who I'm being honest about who I have sex with than how I treat you as a person. Because I'm like, that down low is real.
Right, it is.
Women be like, you're the first one. I ain't the first pansexual. Like, that's where we going. I'm the first person that was honest to you. That's what well, how about that? So it can be difficult for black women to accept you. And so for me, dating is difficult in that sense of there are a lot of, unfortunately, black women that would do everything to uphold the patriarchy and misogyny.
Is it the sex work or the sexual orientation that you find more of a hindrance to dating?
It's a little bit of both, but I'll say this. I've been called a sissy and a faggot more for how I conduct myself than who I have sex with.
Wow.
So if we were, like, let's say I was trying to, like, court one of you all. I'm probably never going to touch you. I'm not going to make any way to be sexual with you because I want to know you as a person. So one lady I was talking to, we spent like 2 months together, and she's like, are you attracted to me? I was like, yeah, why do you think that? She was like, because you never push up on me. I was like, oh. So me getting to know you as a human is the issue. The fact that I respect your space, I ask permission to do these things to you. She's like, well, I'm used to men doing this. I'm like, oh, violating your consent and basically forcibly almost kind of assaulting you, and you just kind of go with it. I'm like, that's not my vibe.
The last 2 men I've dated, I've come on this podcast and say, like, why don't they want to have sex with me sooner? Da, 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 da. And it's so crazy because the conversation I had recently was like, literally, like, my friends and I are trying to dissect why, you know, this summer I was dating someone like, how am I not fucking him? And I remember even you were like, maybe he's gay, or maybe he just wants to be your friend, bro. And that was his exact answer. Like, I'm getting to know you. Like, I fuck everybody. He's like, hella fine. Like, of course you can get pussy. It's like, and I'm sitting here thinking, almost in my brain, being a sex positive person who has a podcast like this, oh yeah, maybe he's just like the weaker one of us too.
Even as a woman, I feel bad to say, and I admit it on this pod too, Black Jesus. Like, he wanted to keep hanging out with me, but we weren't having sex because, you know, I was back entertaining this goddamn my ex. But I was so shocked that, okay, if we're not having sex, you still want to hang out with me? And I think it's because of that relationship with heterosexual men when you're dating.
This is
and
crazy.
I get, but waiting when you know you're attracted to.
I mean, we fucked on the first night.
No,
so
I get that.
It was surprising to me that, like, he still wanted to hang out even though we weren't having sex
This
anymore.
goes back to my original point, though, about being seen as a human.
Yeah,
so even though you want it, I know what you all look like. I know what you're accustomed to. So it's like as a guy that understands himself, we actually want to know who you are.
It's the self-control, I think, that or at least for one point for myself, I didn't realize self-control meant that he actually had interest. I was just like, oh, he's not that into me if he can't contain himself.
Do you know the more that we're into you, it is. So I went on a date today, and I have been talking to this person. I'm telling my damn business. God damn.
Welcome to Horrible Decisions.
It's all good. And I'm poly, so all my lovers at one point will watch this. So I always have to let them know what's going on, because I want to tell you first. But I went on a date today, and I've known the person for about maybe a year and a half. And every time we've met, we've been in sex positive space. We've been in places where we could have literally had sex right then and there. Never had sex. We've had great conversation. And so today I told her, I was like, I like you. She's like, I like you too. And I was like, well, the reason I like her more is because we've never had sex. I'm a sex worker. I'm going to have sex. I know when I'm going to have sex. I know who I'm going to be having sex with, how many times, how many scenes we're going to shoot. So I'm not worried about that. But when I can actually treat you as a human and we get to know each other, that means I actually like you. Because if sex is the only thing you can offer me, when I'm not horny, what are we doing?
I cannot believe what you just said is what I've just learned the last 6 months of my life. I'm almost 32 years old. I mean, I always associated men wanting me and their passion for me with sex.
Yep.
Not that I wasn't getting. I've had a lot of boyfriends and men want to court me, but it was still associated with sex. But in this moment, like, it's crazy because I did not know that. I would even say until 3 weeks ago. Just thinking that liking me this much was because we haven't had sex yet. Because now I got to push past that point of my interest is there. Because at first when he said something like this to me, I thought, oh, so basically you're scared to fuck me because you're not going to like me after that? But it wasn't that. It was that you're so used to fucking girls by the third date or whatever that you kind of just don't get to this point that we're at now. When the fuck are you talking about family? You know what I mean? Or my goals or life shit. When our first date's drinks, the second date's drinks, and by the third one, we're ready to fuck. Like, now we're really building. And I think that men that for themselves want more, because at the end of the day, most men that I've met, even my homeboys, do want a wifey type of girl at the end of the day. They want one woman that they feel more connected to rather than the 8 girls they're currently fucking. They just haven't met them yet. But maybe they have. They just fucked them too early, and now it kind of feels like the chase is done.
For me, it's not about that. If I have interest, I have interest. But if you have a growth mindset, if you're intelligent, your body is going to change. Mm-hmm. Whatever size you are right now, we could be dating tomorrow, you can gain 100 pounds. So if I don't like you, and the only interest I have is in your body, why am I wasting my time?
And keep in mind, too, that we're thinking our bodies are the prize. Mm-hmm. So many times when we're online, we're posting the bikini pics and doing things like that, ready to reel them in without making sure that we've got intellectual conversation. Do you know how many women are so... My homegirls have made fun of me for years for things that I see now are soft girl life and like a trend on Twitter. I've had people say that I was... What is it when you're like trying to like...
Pick me.
You're a pick me. Because I would say things about cooking or doing little things, and I would be really confused about the pick me comment. But it's because it wasn't cool to be softer or to like show men that attitude. And maybe it was like my relationship with my dad, so I haven't had to have a guard up, whereas a lot of my friends didn't have that luxury. But I do realize today that like it's just becoming acceptable for women to be like that. And I hope what happens for men is that men that do want those deeper connections with women, they take that approach. Hey, maybe even when she's asking for dick, let me hold it back a little bit because I can see something with this girl, which men probably aren't doing. Because
it takes
it's
both.
A lot more pressure for a dude not to want to fuck you. Oh, what are you, gay? That's the first thing I'm thinking. I said it on this podcast.
Or you got an outbreak, or it's little.
And the funny thing is,
it's little. I thought for sure.